Our news are tonight. 7 bodies recovered as minister blames extreme rainfall for Mokwa flood. Army chief relocates to Benue State as attacks escalates. Kano mourns as tears and tributes flow for fallen national sports heroes. And on the foreign scene, M23 rebels execute 21 civilians as ICC launches probe over Goma massacre. Hello, good evening and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Now the news. 7 more bodies have been recovered 6 days after the deadly flood that swept through Mokwa town, the headquarters of Mokwa local government of Niger State. 4 of the bodies were recovered on Monday evening, while 3 others were recovered on Tuesday, bringing the death toll number of deaths to 160 as officially announced by the Niger State Emergency Management Agency. The Director General of NSEMA, Abdullahi Baba Ara, said the agency has to source the services of locals to dig out the corpses from the ground. The flood, which occurred in the early hours of Thursday, claimed about 200 lives, according to local sources, with about 500 still missing. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Talomon Usev, has expressed deep concern over the recent flood incident in Mokwa, which claimed lives and displaced residents on May 29, 2025. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja, the minister emphasized that the flood was not due to release from the Kainji or Jaba dams, both of which remain safe. Instead, he said it is as a result from extreme rainfall linked to climate change and worsened by blocked waterways due to unregulated buildings. The report.
The minister commended the immediate response efforts of the Niger State government, local authorities and first responders who have been working to provide relief and support to the victims. He stated that technical personnel from the ministry, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Upper Niger River Basin Development Authority, and National Water Resources Institute are currently on ground in Mokwa assessing the situation to produce a detailed report.
This opportunity to re-echo the key warnings and recommendations from the 2025 annual flood outlook. We have urged and we are still urging states and local governments to act on these early warnings by 1, strengthening drainage infrastructure, relocating vulnerable communities from flood plains, engaging in sustained public awareness campaigns, and enforcing land use regulations to prevent encroachment into flood-prone areas.
Minister Otsev emphasized that part of the issue is the encroachment of floodplains by residents who were previously advised not to settle in such areas. He stressed that flooding can be prevented through proper urban planning and the provision of adequate drainage infrastructure.
Weather events, including intensive rainfall and river flooding, are becoming more frequent and severe across the country and globally. These events not only disrupt livelihoods, they also challenge the resilience of our infrastructure and environment. As a ministry, we remain fully committed to our mandate of monitoring, managing the nation's water resources in a sustainable and climate-resilient manner.
The ministry had earlier predicted flooding in 19 local government areas of Niger State, including Mokwa, through its 2025 annual flood outlook. Meanwhile, communities across 33 states, including the FCT, are identified as high-risk zones, with the minister calling for stronger drainage systems, relocation of vulnerable populations, and stricter enforcement of land use laws.
Now, the Chief of Army Staff, COAS Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluede has moved to Makurdi, the capital of Benue State, in response to the ongoing killings of innocent villagers by herders and militia groups. The COAS, accompanied by top officials from Army headquarters, arrived from Abuja on Tuesday to assess the deteriorating security situation firsthand. His visit comes in response to the wave of violent attacks by suspected headsmen and armed militias, which have left scores dead, several injured or maimed, and countless homes and farmlands destroyed. In Benue State, the COAS is expected to conduct strategic meetings with all operational and unit commanders to discuss future actions and review current operations aimed at halting the killings. The chief will also visit the location of troops and operational bases within the state to engage with the soldiers and enhance their morale and fighting spirit. He is expected to visit villages that have suffered attacks to assure them, the residents, of their safety and the commitment of the Nigerian Army to safeguard the lives and properties of law-abiding citizens. Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has directed the immediate deployment of security personnel to Gwer West and Upper local governments following fresh attacks on communities in the areas. The governor's directive follows recent attacks in two local governments that claimed dozens of lives and left many with various degrees of injuries. The Benue State governor, represented by his chief of staff, Paul Biam, led a delegation comprising all heads of security formations, state and to top government officials to condole with the people of the two local governments over last Sunday's attacks. He appealed to the people to keep faith with his administration, which he said is doing everything possible to end the senseless killings in Benue communities. The State Commissioner of Police, CP Eminari Ifeanyi, confirmed the governor's marching order for them to arrest the perpetrators of the attacks, saying already the order has been extended to security agencies in Naka and Apa for immediate implementation.
It is quite disturbing to see the level of damage that has been done in these communities. We appeal to the communities to be patient, to also show some understanding that the state government is begun very serious steps towards ensuring that peace returns to these communities. The people have been sacked from their villages. We have also met a couple of them and appeal to them to be very calm and understanding.
Before we came here, we met with His Excellency, and he's very clear about our coming here, that whoever has perpetrated this evil act must be arrested. And we have given marching order to all the security agents in Naka that they must be arrested. And we are here to make sure that they must be arrested.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has asked Nigerians to support the armed forces in its quest to combat violent groups and insurgents. At the first Voice of Nigeria Bond Forum in Abuja on Tuesday, General Musa emphasized the need for trust, civic engagements, and responsible narratives as keys to addressing insecurity. He pointed out that insurgency tends to grow when citizens provide space, support, or visibility to those working against national peace. The Director of Legal Services at the Office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Mijinyawa, who represented the NSA Nuribadu, stressed that security is not the sole responsibility of military or intelligence agencies. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, recognized the sacrifices of the armed forces and emphasized the role of the media. He encouraged journalists to focus on the achievement of the military while avoiding excessive coverage of terrorist activities. The forum, organized by Voice of Nigeria in partnership with the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, aims to create space for open dialogue among security institutions, the media, civil society, and citizens. The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, has described the resurgence of Boko Haram in the northeast, particularly in Borno State, as part of the insurgents' renewed vigor to destabilize the Sahel states of Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic. He, however, assured that federal government is dealing with the challenges as the Nigerian armed forces have in the past 2 weeks gained momentum and eliminated a good number of them. The defense minister stated this in Kaduna on Tuesday while fielding questions from journalists at the end of his 2-day work visit to military institutions in the state. During the visit, the minister toured the NDA old and permanent site hosting the academy's postgraduate school, where he inspected ongoing construction projects, facilities, and interacted with senior officers of the institution. The minister also visited Buffalo Engineering Technical Services BET at the Air Force Institute of Technology, AFIT, Kaduna. Speaking on the pockets of attacks taking place in parts of the country, despite the successes recorded against bandits in the northwest, the minister said the FG is doing its best to contain every challenge. Earlier, the commandant, NDA Major General Abdul Khalifa Ibrahim, commended the federal government for providing the necessary resources and upgrading the academics infrastructure. Now, residents of Zamfara State are in mourning following another accidental bombing by the Nigerian Air Force NAF, which killed 2 local vigilantes and injured 2 others during an air raid targeting terrorists. The incident occurred on Saturday, May 31st, during Operation Fansanyama, aimed at terrorist enclave in Maru local government area. According to NAF spokesperson Air Commodore Edward Gabwait, over 20 terrorists were neutralized and more than 21 motorcycles destroyed during the operation. However, the mission was marred by the unintended casualties among local vigilantes who were reportedly trying to rescue abducted villagers when they were mistakenly targeted. This follows a similar incident in January 2025, where at least 16 civilians were killed in an misdirected airstrike in the state. Eyewitness from Ungwar Mani village confirmed that vigilantes had mobilized to rescue over 50 farmers kidnapped by bandits when the airstrike hit, allowing the attackers to escape into forests with the victims. NAF expressed regrets over the loss, reiterating its commitment to minimizing civilian harm and promising a full investigation into the incident. Tensions flared in Abraka, Ethiopia's east local government area of Delta State on Monday as security agents allegedly opened fire on an unarmed resident protesting the ceaseless wave of kidnapping terrorizing the university town. The protest, which had entered its 6th consecutive day, was initially peaceful until chaos erupted following the arrival of heavily armed security personnel, including soldiers and police officers. Eyewitness said the agent fired warning shots to disperse the crowd, causing panic and injuries. Though no deaths were reported yet, one protester reportedly sustained a facial injury and was seen bleeding profusely. Residents and students of Delta State University, Abraka, have been staging daily protests to demand urgent action from the Delta State government and security agencies over escalating cases of abductions. The protesters accuse local police of neglect and complicity, claiming that kidnappers now operate with impunity in the town. When contacted, the Delta State Police Public Relations Officer, Bright Edafe, confirmed that the Commissioner of Police had directed the area commander to take control of the situation in Abraka. Now, on a sad note, 3 days after the heartbreaking accident that claimed the lives of the Kano State athletes and officials returning from the 22nd National Sport Festival in Ogun State, the mood across the state remains heavy. In a mark of collective grief, the state is officially mourning the tragedy to honor the lives cut short. To report.
In Kano State, it's a day of mourning as residents take a moment to honor victims of the tragic road crash involving the state contingent to the 22nd National Sports Festival. Families and friends gathered at neighborhoods across the state to remember and say prayers for the young talent as well as officials lost in the accident. In the Tamburawa area of Kano, mourners gather at the home of Bilal Ahmad Jegus, a 20-year-old final year student of Islamic and Social Studies at the Saada Turini College of Education. Friends and family gathered together to grieve the loss of a promising young man.
I know who Bilal is. I know what is his ambition. So I'm completely disorganized when I heard that he's involved in this tragic accident. So I'm not feeling the way that I'm feeling before.
Speaking about Bilal's short but impactful life, his father Ahmad Musa admitted he never realized how many lives his son had touched until after his passing.
Wato Bilal ni kaina matsina na mahaifinsa duk da na san shi amma ban ƙara sanin sa ba sai bayan Allah ya karɓi rayuwarsa.
Bilal is my son, but I can say I only truly got to know what he had achieved after his demise. Many prominent people came from various places to offer their condolences, and even young people spoke about how Bilal was a role model to them. So I use this opportunity to call on young people. Whatever talent God has blessed you with, you can become whatever you want to become in life if you use the right way and avoid drugs and idleness.
To idan kai wannan amfani da wannan baiwa ta hanya ta dace, baka tafi harka na shirme ba, baka tafi harka na shaye-shaye ba, to insha Allah duk abin da kake so ka zama a rayuwa na zaman duniya zaka zama.
At both Brigade and Fage areas of Kano, there is notable grief at homes of others who lost their lives in the accident. The mood is somber, with relatives struggling to come to terms with sudden loss of their loved ones.
It didn't just come suddenly. It just come unexpected, and we find it very, very difficult, and it was terrifying story. So I don't know how can I describe it, but it was very sad to us because it's something that we do not expect it, and it just came. So there's nothing that we can say, that only that we say Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We are from God, and it's unto Him that we return back. Nobody is above dying. Everybody is going to die, definitely.
It's an unforgettable event. Nasiru is my brother. He completed the game successfully and we stayed in touch. Even when they arrived in Kaduna and Zaria, we spoke on the phone until we received the unfortunate news of the accident. We pray that Allah grants them eternal rest. At the home of wrestling medalist Hussein Garba, his aged father receives mourners for the young man who was lost when he was needed most.
We received the information, shock, which all the members of the family are commensurating with this. As a young and energetic youth, we lost him at the moment where his presence is most needed.
The bereaved families have expressed gratitude to the authorities for the support extended to them, each receiving 1 million naira in cash assistance along with food items as they navigate this difficult time. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
The former Kaduna Central Senator Shehu Sani has fired back at Kaduna ex-governor Nasiru El-Rufai and former Transport Minister Rotimi Amechi for blaming President Tinubu's policies for Nigerians' rising hunger and poverty. Speaking in Kaduna, Sani called their criticism hypocritical, accusing them of being the true architects of banditry, hunger and poverty during their time in power. Sani also highlighted security improvements under Tinubu, noting safer travel on a previous dangerous route like Birnin-Gwari Road and relative peace in southern Kaduna. While acknowledging ongoing insecurity in parts of the north, he urged President Tinubu to do more and called for constructive criticism motivated by patriotism rather than political bitterness. The Benue State Local Government Elections Appeal Panel has overturned the decision of the tribunal in some local governments and upheld the judgment in some to return the chairman earlier sacked in the state. By this judgment, all those upheld by the tribunal are candidates nominated by APC chairman Benjamin Omali, while those adopted from the Agada-led APC faction were upturned. The appeal panel gave the judgment on Tuesday at the Nigerian Bar Association House in Abuja. The report.
The judgment, which has elicited different reactions from the parties involved, however, marks the end of a long tussle after the October 5, 2024 local government elections in Benue State. Chairmen and their party leaders, whom the judgment favored, applauded the judiciary for upholding the integrity of the justice system and the mandate of the people, saying the judgment has put distractions to rest and made way for governance to set in earnest.
I want to assure the good people of Benue State that in our various local governments, we are going to do our best. We are going to do more because we have already started and we are one APC, and I know that these little issues we are having is just a matter of time. We are going to resolve it. So I call on them to come back. Let's work together to take the grassroots level to the next and higher level.
Our interest now, we are going to hit the ground running straight. We are going to get more hand. And I'm calling on my opponent that let him bring those ideas he has. Why he has pursued this case rigorously to come to that. Let's put hands together and build a new Agata of our dream.
We want to thank the judiciary for the great job they have done today. And they have actually done this to uphold the integrity of the judiciary. We are proud of them, and we commend even the head of state who has actually affirmed the strong will of the judiciary. And this is a good will of the people, and the people have spoken. And this have given a testament to prove that judiciary is our hope and it has not failed us.
Meanwhile, the petitioners expressed dissatisfaction with the judgment for not entertaining all their matters, called for the reformation of the state electoral law to remove state electoral bodies.
Going by the provisions of the Benue State Electoral Law 2007, this is the last court. It appears that this is the Supreme Court of the Electoral Law of Benue State. And so we have come to the end of the road today. But I must state clearly that the appellate tribunal did not address issues that were raised before it.
But we don't accept totally. And this call for the reforms in the local government election system, situation where local government elections are conducted in a sham manner.
According to the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice and Public Order, Fidelis Mnyim, the petition was strange, as the election panel considered it a pre-election matter.
So all in all, I say that congratulations to the Benue State Judiciary for standing by law. They look within the ambit of law, decided cases of Supreme Court, and decided that this matter is a pre-election matter, that they do not have jurisdiction to try the petitions right at the tribunal and before them at the appeal tribunal.
The judgment confirmed the election of all 23 candidates as chairman under the Benjamin Omali-led APC in Benue State.
The Kano State Police Command has reiterated the ban on all Durbar activities across the state during the upcoming Eid al-Kabir celebrations, citing security concerns. The announcement comes just hours after the Kano Emirate Council issued a circular inviting traditional leaders and their horsemen to participate in the annual Salah Durbar festivities. In a statement released on Sunday and jointly issued with sister security agencies, the police congratulated Muslim faithful and law-abiding residents ahead of the Eid celebrations, while urging strict adherence to public safety and directives. The police noted that following credible intelligence and prior security assessments, all forms of Durbar activities remained banned throughout the state, a measure earlier announced during the last Eid al-Fitr and still considered necessary due to ongoing threats. To maintain law and order, the command outlined a series of restrictions, including a ban on horse or animal riding, kilisa, ban on car racing and reckless driving, prohibition of unlawful possession or display of firearms or weapons, and warning against carrying dangerous or suspicious items in public. The police also called on parents and guardians to caution their wards against being recruited by subversive elements, stressing that security agencies will enforce the directives to the letter. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. No moves to protect children from insurgents, block terror recruitment pipeline. This and more when we return. To stay. Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is News Hour. Here's a recap of our top stories again. We told you that 7 more bodies recovered as Minister blames extreme rainfall for Mokwa flood. Plus, Army Chief relocates to Benue State as attacks escalate. And now to more stories. The Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria on Tuesday suspended its strike action, setting a 1-month target for the implementation of the 70,000 minimum wage, the 25/35% salary increment, and the wage award by the federal government. The strike was called off in a statement signed by the adjunct chairman of the Court of Appeal, National Industrial Court, FCT High Court, Federal High Court, among other judiciary institutions. On Monday, the FCT High Court Maitama, FHC headquarters and Appeal Court headquarters were locked by members of the union, while the Supreme Court of Nigeria remained in full operation. In a circular by Justin FHC titled Notice of an Indefinite Strike Action and dated May 30, 2025, members were notified of the union's decision to embark on an indefinite strike commencing Monday, June 2, 2025. According to the circular, this followed a decision by the national leadership of union after failed negotiations with the Minister of Labour and Employment on May 30, 2025. Umokode Elisha, the father of West African Senior School Certificate Examination WAEC candidate Wisdom Elisha, who was prevented from cheating with his mobile phone during the ongoing examination in Ondo State, has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun. Elisha's petition came after the police arrested the mother of the WAEC candidate, one Dorcas Asije, alongside 4 other accomplices for allegedly orchestrating an attack on Mr. Rotifa, the vice principal of Complete Child Development College, located in Aule, Akure North local government area of the state. Trust TV recalls that Asije reportedly hired thugs to assault Mr. Rotifa after he allegedly confiscated her son's mobile phone during the external exam. In the copy of the petition obtained on Tuesday, Mr. Elisha explained how his son went to school with his mother's mobile phone, which is used for her business operations, before it was confiscated by the vice principal for allegedly violating school rules. Following the seizure, he revealed that the elder brother of the Y candidate, Ohiodion Elisha, was sent to the school to retrieve the phone, but the teacher refused to release the devices. And now in Borno State, where the scars of insurgents still runs deep, Governor Babagana Zulum has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to protecting children from horrors of war, including violence, exploitations, and terrorist recruitment. Speaking at the 5th World Congress on Justice with Children in Maiduguri, Zulum promised that the atrocities of the past, where children were taken, broken, and turned into tools of war, will not be allowed to happen again. The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime estimates that over 1,300 children were recruited into Boko Haram ranks over the past decades in Borno alone. Trust TV's Bitrus Kursi tells us more.
For a decade, the Boko Haram conflict has torn apart families and communities in northeast Nigeria. But for children, the wounds run deeper. Many were kidnapped, trafficked, forced into marriages, or recruited to fight. UNODC data shows 1,385 children fell into the hands of insurgent groups, some as young as 10. The 5th World Congress on Justice with Children, themed Advancing Child-Centered Justice, is more than just a conference. It's a rallying call to protect, to prevent, and to help young survivors reclaim their lives.
Let us remember, violence against children in the context of insecurity is not inevitable, it is prevalent. But prevention requires more than rhetoric. It demands commitment, resources, and unflinching focus on justice that protects, not punishes, that restores, not retraumatizes.
We don't just ask for your programs, we ask for your proximity, support, inclusion, and partnership. To our communities, we also have a role to play. Justice begins in the smallest of acts, in homes where children are heard, in schools where they are guided, and in streets where they are safe.
Too often, justice for children is misunderstood. It is not about courts and punishments. It must be rooted in compassion, protection, and understanding. Children are not threats. They are human beings with stories. I come from a region that has known the sound of gunshots more than the sound of school bells. From communities where children learn how to survive before they learn how to spell. From places where fear is more familiar than hope.
At the event, young voices took the stage, sharing stories of survival and hope. Some had lived through abduction, others lost family members to violence. Their message was clear. They want safety, dignity, and a future. Governor Zulum, visibly moved, vowed that no child in Borno will again be allowed to fall through the cracks of conflict. He promised a stronger, trauma-sensitive juvenile justice system, one that doesn't punish children for their past, but prepares them for a better tomorrow.
And it is unfortunate, I always say that no child should have gone through what children of Borno State have gone through within the period of the insurgency. And I am reassuring you again that we will do all that it takes to make our children to feel the real impact of juvenile justice.
Officials, partners, and civil society groups at the Congress agreed healing Borno's future means investing in its children, and while the war may have stolen their innocence, the hope is that with the right support, every child can rebuild, not just survive, but thrive. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Residents of Kaduna State have expressed divergent view regarding the performance of the state governor Ubasani. Speaking on the sideline of the 2-year anniversary of the administration, some commended the administration's efforts, while others say they are still observing whether the government's policies and programs align with the yearnings and aspirations of the people. The report.
On May 29, 2023, a new set of governors were sworn into office across various Nigerian states. Among them were 16 first-time governors, including Senator Obasani of Kaduna State. Since assuming office, Governor Sani has introduced several policies and programs aimed at addressing the needs of the people and fulfilling campaign promises. As the administration marks 2 years in office, some Kaduna residents have shared varying opinions about its impact so far. Even within the state, there has been no significant progress, and the same can be said for the country at large. Looking at the situation across the nation, we can only thank God, despite the challenges. There has been some limited progress. In certain areas, particularly rural communities, a few road projects have been initiated, but they are far from enough to meet the pressing needs of the people. In addition to residents, political analysts have also weighed in on the performance of the government over the past 2 years.
It also applies to the various state government. Like I used to say, if you look at social basic amenities, those are things that people want to expect directly from government. Take water supply, for instance. I don't know whether there is a state in Nigeria that can proudly say it has given its people public water supply to the tune of 10%. I don't see that state. Even Abuja have not been able to give its citizens, even though the federal capital, 10% of public water supply.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna has challenged the administration of Governor Ubasani, criticizing what they describe as poor performance and lack of meaningful development across the states.
In the area of infrastructure development, the Kaduna State government has disclosed embarking on 79 roads projects across the state, totaling approximately 780 kilometers, and performed groundbreaking of more than 150 other roads, as well as issue public statement for the completion of several abandoned roads, such as the Romi Junction to Karatutu, Janrua to the Eastern Bypass Road. As today, not up to 10% of this claim have been executed, with a few of them going on at snail speed. Some others nearly abandoned, while those completed are of substandard quality.
Kaduna State government has on several occasions highlighted its achievement since May 29, 2023.
We are already walking the talk in Kaduna State. Our Kaduna Peace model is already bearing fruits. We have restored peace and security to conflict-challenged local governments like Birnin-Gwari, Giwa, and Kauru. We have sustained our citizen engagement programs. We have ramped up our social intervention programs to bring support to the poor, vulnerable, and underserved citizens of Kaduna State. We are tackling poverty headlong through our rural transformation programs aimed at revitalizing local economies, through massive infrastructural development and creating opportunities for our citizens.
As first-time governors continue to unveil their policies and initiatives, residents say they are also engaging with government programs in hopes of benefiting from the dividends of democracy. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
In a bid to strengthen food security and tackle climate-related challenges, the Adamawa State government, through the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project known as LPRESS, has convened a high-level workshop in Yola. With over 120 participants drawn from across the livestock value chain, the workshop focused on how modern technology and climate-smart practices can transform animal production systems in the state. Gibson Swadigo reports.
The workshop brought together farmers, researchers, development partners, and government officials all united by one goal: how to future-proof livestock farming in the face of climate change. At the center of discussions were fresh findings from recent surveys shedding light on productivity trends and the law update of innovations among livestock producers. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Livestock and Aquaculture, Adamawa State, stressed that embracing modern techniques is no longer optional, especially as global climate conditions continue to shift. He credited Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri's leadership for enabling LPRESS to take root in Adamawa.
This is the 8th in the series of workshops this year alone. And as we've said, knowledge is everything. You have to have knowledge before you achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. So we cannot thank LPRESS enough. They are doing superb.
The state coordinator of LPRESS, Alpha Secondi, did not mince words. He said climate change is already threatening the livelihoods of livestock farmers, and unless urgent steps are taken, the state's food security could be compromised.
Yeah, we have 120 participants here. 21 out of them are divisional livestock officer. 21 others are from livestock range and pasture development. Then other participants are also livestock farmers across the state.
Facilitators at the event, including Dr. Ibrahim Bayaso and Amartya Michael, emphasized the need to align local livestock practices with environmental realities. They called for immediate investment in early warning systems, pasture management, and sustainable feeding techniques.
Livestock and agriculture contribute to the emission of greenhouse gases in terms of methane, nitrous oxide, and other things, because the fertilizer we apply, the manure that these animals drop, all contribute to the emission of greenhouse gases.
What LPRESS tries to do is to enhance productivity of livestock farmers, and one of the key ways, which is minimizing cost of feeding. And one of the key ways to do that is to ensure that farmers adopt climate-smart strategies so that they produce optimally.
For participants like Glandu Joseph Sajo, a divisional livestock officer, the workshop was not just another talk shop. It offered practical ideas and collaborative platform to tackle persistent production challenges.
So I'm encouraging people, our Adamawa stakeholders, to start planting trees around. And this issue of cutting of trees, please, we should stop it. We should devise means of cooking our food.
Breakout sessions gave participants the chance to voice local challenges, share experiences, and co-create solutions tailored to their communities. As climate patterns continue to reshape farming conditions in Nigeria's northeast, initiatives like LPRESS may well be the difference between survival and collapse for livestock-dependent families. Gibson Soadugo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Now, the chairman of the House of Representatives Public Account Committee has raised alarm over the state of Nigeria's public financial system. Representative Bamidele Salam says despite some reforms, mismanagement still runs deep across all levels of government, hence the need for reforms. The report.
Speaking ahead of the National Conference on Public Accounts and Fiscal Governance, scheduled for July in Abuja, Salam emphasized the urgent need to strengthen Nigerians' fiscal systems.
As a country, we still have a long way to go in terms of deepening our, fiscal governance systems and structures, and that is why almost all tiers of government, executive, legislative, and the judiciary have at various points in times had to have interventions on issues coming out of mismanagement of public resources. It is our belief because when you have a country as large and as diverse as Nigeria,
He called for collaboration between executive, legislature, and judiciary to tackle what he described as systematic weakness in financial oversight.
So it is obvious, if you ask whether one is happy, nobody is happy. No one. If you ask anyone in Nigeria today whether they are happy with the level of transparency in public expenditure, I will be surprised if anybody in good conscience will say that they are happy. There are quite a lot of gaps. But like I've said, we should also realize that there are movements towards closing those gaps. And one of the movements towards closing the gaps is in the area of reform. So regardless of what you say, there will never be anything again like a fuel subsidy scam in Nigeria. Because the source of that scam has been taken away. There is even no subsidy again.
While acknowledging that some reforms are in progress, Salam said the scale of challenges demands more decisive action. He pointed out to Nigeria's complex financial structure with multiple funding channels as a reason to adopt more robust oversight mechanism. The park chairman assured that his committee remains committed to working with stakeholders to restore confidence in public financial management.
Now in business, the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, APCON, says the June 3rd deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, for the recapitalization of Bureau de Change BDC operators is sacrosanct. APCON President Aminu Godebe spoke during a stakeholders meeting with the Apex Bank in Lagos. In May 2024, the CBN introduced revised operational guidelines for BDCs effective June 3rd of the same year. The financial regulators directed all operators to reapply for license and pegged non-refundable application fees at 5 million for first year and 2 million for Tier 2. Operators were also given an initial 6-month deadline to comply with the new capital recruitment requirement, which was extended by another 6 months. The APCON on Monday appealed to the CBN to extend the recapitalization deadline this Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025, and review license recruitment requirements. Speaking on the outcome of the meeting with the CBN, Godebe thanked the Apex Bank for the engagement, adding that the BDC's recapitalization deadline is sacrosanct. And now the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, has directed deposit money banks to stop deducting charges for unstructured supplementary services data USSD transactions directly from customers' account. The charges will now be deducted from users' mobile airtime, according to an email from the United Bank for Africa UBA to customers on Tuesday. The directive takes effect from June 3rd. The bank said the customers can continue using other digital banking options and internet banking platforms for conveniences. The latest directive may be another move by the Commission to address the historical USSD payment conflict between mobile networks operators and commercial banks. And now on the foreign scene, Human Rights Watch HRW has accused Rwanda-backed M23 rebels of executing at least 21 civilians in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In a report published on Tuesday, the NGO said the abuses took place on the 22nd and 23rd of February in Goma, the capital of North Kivu province. HRW said dozens of M3 fighters arrived in Goma's Kasika neighborhood on the 22nd of February and shot 7 people in the head near the Katindo military camp, a former Congolese army barracks. The bodies of 11 more people, including a boy, were found at a construction site about 100 meters from the camp. The next day, M23 fighters rounded up about 20 men near a sport field in the city and accused them of belonging to the Congolese army. The International Criminal Court is currently investigating alleged crimes against civilians in North Kivu. Appeals judges at the International Crime Court on Tuesday gave their final green light for proceedings against Uganda rebel leader Joseph Kony to carry on. The court scheduled a confirmation of charges hearing for September. Prosecutors will present evidence to back up charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity against Kony. The hearing will be held in absentia, a first for the tribunal, as Kony's whereabouts remains unknown. The appeals chamber's judgment confirms several decisions made by the ICC over the past 2 years. Joseph Kony is the leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, a violent rebel group that tried to overthrow the Uganda government in the 1980s. The militia was pushed out of Uganda in the mid-20s, but it continues to terrorize villagers in Central African Republic, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo. And now in sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons beat the indomitable Lioness of Cameroon 2-0 in their friendly at the Moshood Abiola Sport Arena, Abeokuta, on Tuesday night. Captain Rasheedat Ajibade scored twice in the first half to help the Super Falcons maintain their dominance over Jean-Baptiste Bisse's side. The Super Falcons dominated the opening exchange, moving the ball around with confidence. Cameroon, however, put up a good fight by keeping things tight at the back. The breakthrough came for the Super Falcons in the 28th minute when they were awarded a penalty after Ajibade was brought down inside the box. The forward Coley slotted the ball past former Bielsa Queens goalkeeper Angie Gabriel Bau. She scored her second goal of the game 2 minutes before the break, following a super pass from Morisola Babajide. No goal was recorded after the break, despite good chances for both teams. And now let's join Kabir Lawan for more news on sports.
Novak Djokovic eased into record-breaking 19th Roland Garros quarterfinal with comfortable straight-set victory over Cameron Norrie. The three-time French Open champion will renew his rivalry with third seed Alexander Zverev in the last 8 on Wednesday after seeing off Norrie 6-2, 6-3, 6-2 on court. His tally of 19 quarterfinal appearances at Roland Garros is the record for a Grand Slam tournament. Djokovic holds an 8-5 winning record in his head-to-head with German Zverev, but retired injured from their last meeting in the Australian Open semi-finals in January. Britain's Norrie, a former top 10 player, now ranked 81st, has lost all 6 of his career matches against Djokovic. Still on Port News, Nigeria under-20 national football team, the Flying Eagles, will commence their first training session on Tuesday as preparation begins in earnest for the upcoming WAFU A and B Under-20 Nations Cup Invitational Tournament scheduled to take place in Ghana from June 15th to June 30th, 2025. The maiden edition of the regional competition will feature 16 West African nations, with Nigeria among the favorites to contend for the title. The tournament is expected to serve as an important platform for competitive match exposure with technical development for the Flying Eagles. The WAFU Invitational also offers timely preparation as Nigeria, alongside South Africa, Egypt and Morocco, have already secured qualification for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. Team officials said the team resumed officially on Monday, adding that the squad will use the Ghana tournament to assess player readiness, build squad cohesion, and shaping strategies ahead of global competition. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawa.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to watch us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Good night.